And welcome back to part 2 of History Through Video Games, where we're investigating the tank called M60A1, M60A2 and M60A3 Patton tanks and their influence on history. Now, in this particular video, we're going to be investigating the tank using a game called Wargame Red Dragon, and we're going to take a look at the real battle that this tank participated in during the Gulf War in 1991. Welcome to What the Math. And so let's take a look at the participants in this particular battle. Now, this was actually a battle of Kuwait International Airport that occurred on February 27th of 1991. This was only days after the invasion of Kuwait by the Iraqi forces, and this was when the American forces counterattacked and tried to recapture Kuwait. Now, this here was the 1st Marine Division along with the 2nd Marine Division attacking from several sides, and they actually used quite a lot of M60A1 tanks, and they were fighting the Iraqi Republican Guard forces that were actually well trained and had a lot of Soviet tanks. Now let's actually take a look at the US battle group first. Now I'm gonna zoom in here just to show you what we'll have for our forces. We'll have a few M1 Abrams and M60A1 tanks. Now, Abrams tanks were used during this attack, but not very many. Actually, only 13 of them. So these will only be used in back to basically protect our base. And we'll have a few M60A1 tanks as our leaders as well as our command forces. We also have quite a lot of Marines in our disposal as well. There's actually 4 groups I've added, and this will be a total of, I think, something like 40 different Marine divisions. We'll have a little bit of support from artillery, which was present at during this battle, and of course we'll have our M60A1 tanks. This one particularly is actually a Marine version. This one is a little bit different, and these two are actually just the Marine editions of US M60A1 tanks, and if you take a look at them, they actually do look a lot like the one I showed you in the previous video. Then for our reconnaissance, we'll have both Cobra helicopters, which were present during this battle, and the Bradley tanks, which were actually used as well. And these tanks are, or were the most essential reconnaissance units during this battle, but they also actually included the anti-tank rockets or anti-tank guided missiles that were actually on the side right here. And they did destroy quite a lot of tanks on their own as well. Now, we'll have no other vehicles here. We will have a few helicopters, and actually I just added 6 Cobra helicopters because these were used to destroy quite a lot of the T-54 and T-72 tanks, and the Marine forces do use the Cobra helicopters quite extensively. And for the Air Force, I actually did not add anything, even though quite a lot of A-10 Thunderbolts participated in other battles. In this battle, they were not used. But we will have one other addition. This is actually the only battleship I could find to add here. There was one battleship that participated in this particular battle, and this battleship was actually used, or this was actually the last time the battleship was used to bombard the forces on the ground using its main cannon. So we'll try to do that by using its, here it's called a Tobreda compact cannon that has a range of about 6,000 meters or 6 kilometers to try to bombard some of the Iraqi forces if they decide to hide from us. And the Iraqi forces will have a few T-72s as their main command units. They also have a few infantry units that do have some anti-tank weapons just because this was more realistic and will give us a little bit of challenge. They'll have a little bit of Soviet artillery, which was actually the most effective weapon during this battle because this weapon destroyed more American forces than did any other tank or any other unit in the Iraqi force. And they'll have tons and tons of tanks. There's a lot of T-55s, there's a lot of T-62s, there's this T-55 with an additional or an improved cannon, and of course there's the T-72 tanks that were quite deadly to the American forces. These were actually outclassing the M60 tanks. Basically these were the tier higher than the M60 tanks that the Marines used. Now, they will have no reconnaissance, and as a matter of fact, this is realistic because they had no idea the Americans were coming and from where they were coming. I will, however, give them one additional anti-air unit because this will make it a little bit more challenging, but also will make it a little bit more realistic because it's very likely that the Republican Guard had quite a lot of anti-air units in there. There will be no helicopters, no Air Force because it was all destroyed by the American forces, and obviously no naval units as well. So in other words, the Iraqi forces are really all tanks. It's all tanks with a bit of a support from the infantry. And so let's see how we do. Even though we have a much more inferior armored force, as a matter of fact, our tanks are much weaker than their tanks, we do have a combined force advantage. We have helicopters, we have better reconnaissance, specifically we have these Bradley units right here that will do all of the scouting for us. And of course, we have our battleship, which will try to get into battle as soon as we capture this part right here. Now, I couldn't really find, or as a matter of fact, there's actually no airport map in this particular game, but there is a harbor, which is, I guess, as close as you get to the airport. And so what we'll do is we'll try to capture this whole thing and try to survive the counterattack. Now, this was the actual counterattack that Iraqi forces did initiate during this particular attack on the Kuwait International Airport, and the US Marines were able to quite valiantly not only survive the counterattack, but destroy most of the armored forces that were trying to attack them. So let's begin the battle and see how this goes. So this is February 27th, 1991, and the US Marine Forces, 1st Marine Division and the 2nd Marine Division are about to face the 35th Iraqi Republican Guard and their hundreds and hundreds of tanks. Alright, so we're going to right away launch our tanks into battle, or specifically we're actually going to move them right here with all of our reconnaissance units. We're going to also tell these guys to occupy these areas because we want our Marines on the front. We want them fighting, we want them attacking. We don't want them sitting ducks somewhere and pretending that they're doing work. We also want to capture the area to our left, so that means we need to launch one of our tanks, one of our armored tanks that are also our command divisions into the forest right there. This way we'll be able to bring one of our new units, which is going to be our battleship. Now this tank will go right here, and I also want to bring a few more, actually I want to bring my helicopters in this forest right here. We're going to protect this flank, and then we let's get some more helicopters actually. I think it'd be a good idea if we brought more helicopters, and these guys will go to possibly this location just for the flank protection. Now let's bring some more helicopters. I want 2 more Cobras in this area. They will be protecting okay, we're here. Excellent. And I think the enemy is coming. So let's quickly unload our Marines. And these Marines are actually coming by vehicle, not by helicopter. And so here we go. Unload the Marines, and they're going to start protecting this area. Now, because they're going to be in the buildings, and because they're actually Marines, they're going to be able to... Never mind. One helicopter destroy. Well, that was fast. And that's because they brought a T-72 tank right there. Look at that. There's a T-72 coming toward us and trying to destroy our Marine units. Luckily, they do have anti-tank. And luckily, we also have our beautiful... there we go, we destroyed their tank. Our beautiful helicopters, somewhere over there. There they are. There's our Cobra helicopters. Let's bring them and protect our units. We're going to also move this tank a little bit faster to this area. And so far, this is not going well for us, but that's okay. We're going to figure things out as we go. So, Marines are inside the building. Their vehicle is destroyed, but that's okay. We don't really need this vehicle. And our tanks are being already attacked. Now, let's bring these tanks a little bit closer. And I think our Cobra has to start destroying their T-72s, because their T-72s are pretty dangerous. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned before, they're seeing T-72s outclass our units dramatically. And here come the rockets. Look at those rockets. That's actually from the Bradleys and from the Cobras. Now, during this battle, the Bradleys and the Cobras together destroyed quite a lot of tanks. They were quite impressive in destroying a huge amount of tanks. Something that Iraqis did not expect. Let's actually bring some more units here. These guys should unload. And look at that. Look at those Cobras. Awesome. Doing good job, guys. Right from the flank. That's right. Destroy all their tanks. Now, I was surprised that they actually started sending their T-72s as their main units here. As their main attack units. I would have kept them in the reserve. Now, alright. So let's bring our Congo. This is going to be our main artillery force. And we do have artillery. We actually have an extra artillery unit that we can use, but we're not going to bring them yet. Okay, Cobras are out of ammo, so we're going to bring them back here. How are the tanks doing? All the tanks are still good. Marines are still good here. These Marines kind of got damaged a little bit, but they survived. And let's bring some more infantry units via helicopter, hopefully. No, that's not a helicopter. Never mind. That's a vehicle. Helicopter was the other unit. And okay, these Cobras are out as well. They hopefully will destroy this BMP that's coming their way. We're gonna go reload their weapons. And looks like we've survived the first counterattack. We've destroyed quite a few T-72s actually. If you look at my score here, I've scored quite a lot of units. They've only killed my Marines and a few of the vehicles that they had. In reality though, actually only 19 Marines died during this battle, and something like hundreds and hundreds of Iraqis. Iraqis lost over 400 vehicles in this battle. The Marines lost almost nothing. I believe there was a few damaged tanks, but that's about it. So they were able to completely eliminate the Iraqi forces. And during this battle, one of the M1 Abrams tanks that I'm not really using in this particular battle, they're just my reserve units, but one of that M1 Abrams tanks scored the longest confirmed kill by a tank. This was an Iraqi BMP that was destroyed from 3,750 meters or 2.3 miles away, essentially, you know, by a tank. It was like sniping using a tank. It's ridiculously powerful. Alright, so there's a lot of things going on here. My Abrams tank might unfortunately perish if I don't move it soon enough, and I should be moving it out of here. And these guys should land and reload the rockets. I can probably bring a few more helicopters here. My last two helicopters, we're going to bring them right here. They're going to protect our Abrams tank because it's very important, and it's also very, very expensive. And these guys are going here, and they're going to basically... Oh, here we go. There's actually... Look at that. They're bringing their AAs right into our tanks, and their AA tanks are about to be destroyed. That was not very smart of you. And also our Congo is here. Ah, that's great. Great news. We can now start bombarding pretty much everyone. Well, actually, we can't really see them that well, but we can definitely use them. Use Congo as a kind of a mobile artillery unit. Okay, so what's happening here? Our Marines are attacking. Our M60 tanks are attacking as well. They're actually going on a quite an aggressive strike here against the enemy AA units, which is something that I'm not sure how I feel about, but you know what, why not? We do have quite a lot of M60 tanks. We can waste a few of them, and they're actually, look at that, they're doing really, really well. They're doing amazingly well, and I think I'm gonna bring my Cobras for an extra help, because now I think all of the AA units have been destroyed, so we can actually go on a full strike here. Let's bring a few more tanks. We still have reserve tanks here. We did lose two tanks. Two M60 tanks were destroyed by, I think it was actually missiles or artillery, possibly artillery. Which is quite realistic because a lot of the, or most of the casualties from the Marine forces were done by the artillery, by the Iraqi artillery. Now, I did lose a few Marines here, which is something that I didn't expect. But it's mostly because they're basically surrounded by, you know, everyone. Everyone's surrounded them in there. And my Cobras need to do a better job here. I'm going to bring them a little bit closer so they can actually strike at the enemy T-72, which I just saw somewhere here. Now, I've already lost a lot more forces than the Marines did in real life, but that's mostly because I'm playing against a relatively well-matched opponent here. Holy crap, that was awesome. whatever that was, Cobra, that was awesome. Yeah, so I'm playing against a relatively well-matched opponent that does have, you know, quite an impressive arsenal of weaponry. And so here, despite them being slightly more powerful than me, I'm still doing quite a lot of damage to them, which is really great. But they do have artillery coming, they have a lot of other things, and my Bradleys are actually out of ammo, so I'm gonna bring them back. And let's bring back new set of Bradleys. Where is my reconnaissance unit? Right here. More Bradleys to the front, please and thank you. Now, let's bring one helicopter as well. Now, I'm gonna start attacking. I'm gonna bring all of my tanks here. And I'm also gonna bring more. We need more Marines. More Marines to the front. Let's bring more. This time by helicopter, please. Let's bring helicopter Marines. Okay, so there's definitely a lot of. Holy crap! There's a whole charade of. What are these? I think it's a T-55 tanks, and they're coming here, and we can't see them because we are inside this smoke cloud that they've created to try to mask themselves. And here comes my reserve force of tanks and Bradleys, and I'm going to retreat with these tanks actually behind their position, and we're going to try to destroy all of these T-55s. They're actually killed our Marines, but I hope that my Congo, there we go, there comes Congo. Look at its beautiful cannons, just slamming through these tanks and destroying all of them. So this was actually quite a realistic representation of what happened. This was the last time the battleships were used in this manner, where their main cannons. Oh no, I'm being destroyed. Retreat. Their main cannons would actually attack enemy tanks or enemy positions, and would essentially destroy them using their main battle cannons. It has never been done since then. So this was in 1991, and specifically here during the battle in the Kuwait airport. Alright, so I am losing some tanks here, but that's okay. My Bradleys are doing quite a remarkable job, but... Whoa, what happened to all my tanks? No, they've killed them. They've killed all my tanks. Retreat! Retreat, my young ones. And let's bring more tanks. And I think really what they're doing to me, and the reason why they're doing so well against me, is because they're actually using these smokes really effectively. They're blocking my view, they're advancing step by step, and it's actually something I didn't expect them to do. Which means we need to start playing a little bit more carefully. I was actually, to be honest, getting a little bit cocky with my Marines and my superior Air Force, but I definitely paid the price for it because I've lost a lot more units than the Marines did in real life. So instead, we're gonna stay behind here. We're gonna try to destroy as many of their tanks as we can from the back, and at the same time, we're going to use our helicopters for support. We're going to use our superior optics from our Bradleys to basically spot everyone and to essentially do this. Look at that. Look at this destruction. Look at how many units we're destroying now that their smoke clouds have receded, and we can actually see everybody. That is just insane. And this is essentially how the battle progressed. The Marines decimated hundreds and hundreds of vehicles. It was within a day that almost the entire Republican army, this was specifically the 35th Iraqi Republican Guard, that was completely destroyed. And the combination of Cobra attacks, combination of strikes from the Marines, and the M60 that would just not give Iraqis any break, and they would just continuously strike at them, eliminating everyone in pretty much like this. Look at that. Every tank is being destroyed by everything, really, from every single side. Now, this means that we're actually getting closer to victory here. As a matter of fact, they've destroyed some of our vehicles. They got about 960 points, but we already have almost 4,000 points because we've destroyed most of their more powerful tanks. I believe T-62s are down. There's a lot of T-55s left, but I haven't seen T-72s in a while, which means that we very likely have destroyed them. I think we've actually destroyed all of them. We can possibly start moving our tanks into a better position here, and And this is, don't forget, this is M60A1, not even A3. This is the 1960 model, the same model that participated in the Vietnam War, which is quite impressive because that's essentially equivalent of T-55 tank that the Iraqis have, but they're doing a much better job. As a matter of fact, they are destroying a lot more units than the T-55s are. And that's all thanks to a combination of, you know, my battleship right here and my beautiful Cobras that are doing an amazing job at killing all of these tanks. Look at these beautiful helicopters. Such a great creation, meant for essentially this, for destroying enemy tanks. Now, once again, they're actually going on attack. Oh, here we go. There's a T-62 that's coming from this location, and there's another one right there. And I think that's a smoke grenade. Yep, they just launched a smoke grenade on us, which means that we have to try to move right here. Now, I do still have some tanks, but we're gonna spare them for if things are really not going well for us. And we're gonna start using our Marines and try to bring them closer to this location. Now, these Marines are gonna hide inside this building, because we want them to basically protect this area. And these tanks are also going to stay in here. And there you go. You're witnessing the ship artillery doing its job. Just destroyed a very powerful tank right there, killing it with its main cannon. And even though our tanks are actually not doing as well as I hoped they would be, mostly because of these stupid smoke screens that they've really effectively set in front of my tanks so that they can't see anything. But luckily, we do have other things we can do here. Specifically, we can use our helicopters and our reserve forces as well. And it seems like they're actually sending quite a lot of tanks from this direction. There's actually a major tank procession coming toward me. A lot of T-62 tanks. So let's see how we do against them, because these tanks are more powerful than M60 ones. And as a matter of fact, there's just one tank that I lost a second ago. From the T-62 attack, and there's a T-62 coming, and not anymore. It looks like it's down. So yeah, M60 tanks, even though they're not as powerful because of the combined forces that I'm using here, with Bradleys using their anti-tank missiles, and the Cobras also using their missiles, obviously. We're actually doing not too bad. I'm gonna send my final Cobra strike because I actually ran out of ammunition. There's no more ammo for us, so this is going to be our last missile attack. And there's 2 missiles coming from Bradleys right there, and they've destroyed a tank. Yay. Let's see if these guys can do a better job. There's one other T-62 coming, and down. Actually, here we go. There's another one coming in from there, and this might be their last T-62 as a matter of fact. So let's see if our rockets can take it out before our tanks do. And there we go. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. One more T-62. There's quite a lot of T-62s as a matter of fact. But it looks like this might have been their last major strike. We have scored almost 6,000 points. At 6,000, the game is basically finished. We have only a few points left before we actually win this. So we might as well send all of our major M60 tanks on a final sort of a strike here, and we're going to do it the following way. We're going to send this was actually the way it was done. It was several tanks in front and Bradleys behind them. So Bradleys would use their superior optics, and I think Bradleys are coming from the back there. You'll see them in a second. There they are. So the Bradleys here would use their superior optics to scout out and mark the targets for the M60 tanks or for the M1 Abrams tanks, and then these tanks would take out the enemy. Now, M1 Abrams tanks were obviously a lot more effective because they had better guns and better armor, and they were actually really good at outranging the Iraqi tanks. But even these M60 tanks were quite effective at destroying the Iraqi forces, because with they saw the Iraqis way before the Iraqis saw them, because of obviously Bradley scouting units that had ridiculously powerful optics, and on top of that could also use their anti-tank guided missiles that were right here. They actually had 12 of them, 2 per shot, that would then be reloaded and fired again. And as we're passing all of these destroyed enemy tanks, we're going for the final attack. We're gonna strike at them using, oh my god, look at all of these forces that we managed to destroy. This was a quite successful battle, as a matter of fact. Didn't expect we would actually destroy this many. And here they come. This is the scouting unit in front of the main battle strike, and we're going to actually zoom in on the M60 A1 tank. And even though it doesn't look as detailed as in the Armored Warfare game, it is nevertheless a pretty good looking tank and definitely very, very powerful. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think Bradley was too eager to get in front of it. So anyway, here comes the final strike. And you're witnessing the final push of the US Marine forces into the enemy territory, destroying the, I believe this was the enemy artillery and their infantry units that are basically hiding in the back. All we need to do now is destroy their command force, and that's it. This is game over for them, and our M60 A1 tanks will prevail. So let's see how this goes. You're witnessing our other M60 A1 division coming from the left side. This is basically a 2-prong attack, one from the left, one from the right, and I believe that's it. I think that's it. This is probably this unit that we're looking for, and as soon as we destroy it... No, that's not it. Spoke too soon. And the reason why these houses look a little bit too Asian, that's because in the Red Dragon DLC of this game, you're basically playing in Korea and Japan, so that is why these are not really Iraqi houses, and this is not a desert. Unfortunately, there is no desert map in this game. And there you go, that's their T-70 tank. That is also their command unit. Let's see if we can destroy it, because that's actually a pretty powerful tank. And it's done. Game over. Game over, ladies and gentlemen. They're finished. And we have won this battle in 29 minutes, but in reality this took just under a day. And one of the battles against the Iraqi Republican Guard, actually specifically there were actually 35 Iraqi tanks against the 13 Abrams tanks, was officially the fastest tank battle in the tank history. It only took about 90 seconds before all of the 35 Iraqi Guard tanks were completely eliminated. And so this particular battle, the Battle of Kuwait International Airport, was one of the most successful tank battles in US history, and was definitely very impressive in terms of units that were used by both forces, and the fact that US almost lost nothing and Iraqis lost almost the entire force. And that's it for this particular video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe, like this, and share it with your friends. This was Wargame Red Dragon, and this was the recreation of 27th of February 1991, when the Marine Division from the United States Marines tried to recapture Kuwait International Airport after it was invaded by the Iraqi forces during the Gulf War. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Game you later, and bye-bye.